From the very heart of the Amazon rainforest all the way to the highest railway bridge on Earth, India is right at the center of some really critical global conversations. In this explainer, we're going to break down 6 key stories you absolutely need to know about, covering everything from innovative climate solutions to the challenges facing our athletes. So let's get right into it. So here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with the planet, looking at how nature itself might just be our best ally against climate change. Then we'll pivot to the economy, demystifying how a country pays for these massive projects and how the central bank manages our money. After that, we'll dive into a critical public health battle, celebrate some truly inspiring infrastructure wins, and finally have a difficult but necessary conversation about the integrity of sports in India. First up, let's turn our attention to Brazil. Now, it's set to host the huge UN climate conference, COP30. And get this, they're hosting it inside the Amazon rainforest. This unique location is putting a massive spotlight on a really powerful approach to climate action, something called nature-based solutions, or NBS for short. So what on earth are nature-based solutions? Let's break it down with a simple example. Imagine a coastal town that's facing serious storm surges. The old-school approach might be to build a huge, expensive concrete seawall, right? But an NBS approach would be to restore the natural mangrove forest along that coast. You see, the mangroves act as a living, breathing barrier, providing even better protection. But they don't stop there. They also become a nursery for fish, they help clean the water, and they pull carbon out of the atmosphere. That's the core idea, working with nature to solve our problems. It's a win-win-win. And, this isn't just about forests. As this diagram shows, NBS offers a whole toolkit for Mother Nature. We're talking about ocean-based actions like restoring seagrass meadows that absorb incredible amounts of carbon. It means bringing wetlands back to life so they can act as natural sponges against flooding. And it even extends to our farms, using regenerative practices that make the soil itself a powerful tool for climate resilience. It's a much more holistic way of looking at things. Now, this approach is absolutely critical for India. A huge part of NBS is involving local communities, the very people who hold generations of ecological knowledge. By working with them, we can implement solutions that actually stick. For a country where a staggering 600 million people face intense water stress and disaster damage costs us billions, leveraging nature isn't just some nice-to-have green idea. Nope, it's a powerful, cost-effective strategy for survival and for prosperity. Okay, so from building with nature, let's switch gears and talk about building with good old steel and concrete. We're diving into the world of finance to understand how these massive projects like new highways and power plants actually get funded. The recent news that Bank of India raised thousands of crores using something called infrastructure bonds makes this the perfect time to explore how it all works. So what exactly is an infrastructure bond in plain English? Well, let's say your city wants to build a brand new metro line, but needs a ton of cash up front. It can issue a bond, which is basically just a way of asking thousands of investors, big and small, for a long-term loan. You, the investor, give them your money, and in return, they promise to pay you back in, say, 10 or 15 years, with steady interest payments all along the way. Simple as that. But bonds aren't the only game in town, and it's really important to know the difference. This table lays it out perfectly. A bond, like we said, is a loan. You're a lender. You get a fixed return, which makes it relatively safe. But an infrastructure investment trust, or INVIT, is a totally different beast. With an INVIT, you're not a lender, you're a part owner. You own a tiny little piece of that toll road or that power plant. Now, if it's profitable, your returns could be much higher. But that, of course, comes with a bit more risk. All right, our third topic takes us into the intricate dance of central banking. The Reserve Bank of India is kind of like the economy's main choreographer. And recently, it announced it would be using 2 powerful tools at the same time. A fascinating move that shows exactly how they try to keep everything in balance. The first tool is called Open Market Operations, or OMOs. Sounds complicated, but the core idea is super simple. As you can see on the left, when the RBI wants to put more money into the banking system, to encourage lending and boost the economy, it buys government bonds from the banks. It's like opening a tap and just pouring fresh cash right into the system. Conversely, as you see on the right, when it wants to soak up extra cash, maybe to fight inflation, it does the exact opposite. It sells bonds to the banks, effectively draining money out. The second tool is a rupee-dollar swap. Here, the RBI goes to the banks and essentially makes a temporary trade. It says, hey, give us your US dollars for a set period, and in return, we'll give you rupees to use right now. Then, on a specific date in the future, we'll swap right back. This is a really clever way to inject rupees into the system to ease a short-term cash crunch without permanently messing with the money supply. And it also gives the RBI a way to influence the rupee-dollar exchange rate. So why use both tools at once? Well, it's a really sophisticated strategy that gives the RBI incredible flexibility. Think of it like this. They can use the OMOs to manage the long-term domestic issues like interest rates. At the very same time, they can use the currency swaps as a precision tool for short-term challenges like a temporary cash shortage or pressure on the rupee. It's like having two separate dials to fine-tune both the internal and the external economic environment. We're going to turn now to a critical and, frankly, a heartbreaking public health issue. A recent study has cast a harsh light on a problem that is both incredibly deadly and this is the key part, 100% preventable: the ongoing tragedy of rabies in India. I want you to just let this number sink in for a moment. 1/3. 1 out of every 3 people who dies from rabies in the entire world is in India. This is not a failure of medical science. We've known how to prevent this for over a century. This is a failure of public health delivery and access. Crucially, science has already given us the solution. Knowing what to do after a potential exposure is literally a matter of life and death. This 3-step procedure called post-exposure prophylaxis, or PEP, is almost perfectly effective if you start it immediately. Step 1. Wash the wound thoroughly with soap and water for a full 15 minutes. Step 2. Get the complete course of the anti-rabies vaccine. And step 3, for more severe bites, an injection of something called rabies immunoglobulin, or RIG, is absolutely vital for immediate protection. So if we know how to prevent it, why are people still dying? Well, the study points to a series of just gut-wrenching, systemic failures. The chain of care is broken at multiple points. People in poor and rural areas often delay seeking treatment because they don't understand the urgency. Many can't afford or don't complete the full vaccine course. And that critical RIG injection, it's often scarce, incredibly expensive, or just plain unavailable at the very public hospitals where the most vulnerable people go for help. It's a tragedy of access, and it hits children the hardest. Let's shift gears now to some incredible news from the world of infrastructure. We're going to highlight a few of the amazing engineering feats that are physically connecting our country in brand new ways. I mean, the scale of these projects is just breathtaking. We're talking about modern marvels like the Atal Setu, now the country's longest sea bridge. We have the Chenab Bridge, which isn't just an Indian record, it's the world's highest railway bridge. It's so high, it literally towers over the Eiffel Tower. And then there are these incredible innovations like the new Pamban Bridge, India's first ever sea bridge with a section that lifts straight up to let ships pass underneath. These aren't just pieces of infrastructure. They are truly national landmarks. And this national ambition goes way beyond bridges. Take the Sabanziri hydroelectric project on the border of Arunachal Pradesh and Assam. This is a monumental undertaking. It's what's known as a run-of-the-river project, which is designed to generate power with less environmental impact than those traditional large dams. Once it's fully operational, it will be the single largest source of hydropower in India, providing a massive and much-needed boost to energy security in the Northeast. For our final topic today, we're turning to the world of sports. But this is a difficult subject. A brand new report from the World Anti-Doping Agency, or WADA, has some very concerning findings for India. This chart from the report tells a really stark story. The headline is just unavoidable. India recorded the highest number of doping violations in the world. And if you look at the trend line here, you can see the number of violations has risen significantly over the last few years. This isn't a new problem, but it appears to be a worsening one. And to put that number in perspective, just look at this comparison. India's 260 violations aren't just the highest, they are nearly 3 times higher than second-place France, which had 91. This isn't a small margin. It's a significant gap that points to some very serious questions about awareness, education, and enforcement right across India's sporting ecosystem. So who polices all of this? Well, the fight for clean sport is led by 2 key organizations. At the top, you've got WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency. They're the global rule makers. They set the standards and the official list of banned substances for all sports. Then, operating under WADA's rules, each country has its own body. In India, that's NADA, the National Anti-Doping Agency. Their job is to be the referee on the ground here, conducting tests and promoting clean competition at home. And this brings us to a really crucial question. As India makes these ambitious bids to host huge global events like the Olympics, this issue moves from being a problem to a potential crisis of credibility. It raises the ultimate challenge. Perhaps the most important race for India to win right now isn't on the track for a gold medal, but the race to prove it can champion clean, fair sport on the world stage.